Imagine you wake up tomorrow and everything is gone. No roof, no walls, no heating system humming quietly in the background, no weather app telling you it's going to rain for the next 6 days straight. Just you, the sky, and a storm that has been going for 3 days and shows absolutely no signs of stopping. No Gore-Tex jacket, no waterproof boots, no gas stove to heat food, no dry clothes waiting in a drawer, just wet, cold, dark, and the very real possibility that if your body temperature drops another 2 degrees, you don't wake up tomorrow. Now stop thinking of this as a thought experiment, because for the vast majority of human history this was Tuesday. This was just a week in October. A regular stretch of days that your ancestors had to navigate, survive, and somehow come out the other side of without a single tool you currently own. And they did, every single time. The question is how? First of all, thank you so much for the incredible love and support you showed on my last video. It truly means a lot and motivates me to create even better content for you. The next video is going to be based on your ideas, so let me know in the comments what you'd like to see next. I'm reading your suggestions, and your feedback helps shape this channel. Because here's what nobody tells you about ancient human survival. We spend all our time talking about the dramatic stuff, the predators, the migrations, the wars, the hunts. But rain is unglamorous. Rain is slow. Rain doesn't make a good movie poster. And yet, a week of cold, sustained rain was arguably more consistently dangerous to early humans than almost anything with teeth. It killed fires, it caused hypothermia, it rotted food, it flooded shelters, it lasted for months. And what ancient humans did to survive it reveals something about the human mind that most history books never get around to explaining. There are several layers to this, each one more surprising than the last. If this is the kind of deep human history that actually explains who we are, subscribe to Neurovex. This is exactly what we're here for. Let's go. Most people, when they imagine surviving rain, think about drowning. That's not the danger. The real killer is something far more quiet, far more invisible, and far more efficient. Heat loss. Here's the physics that ancient humans didn't know in words, but learned through watching each other die. Water conducts heat away from the human body roughly 25 times faster than air does. 25 times. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between sitting in a cold room feeling slightly uncomfortable and sitting in a cold lake with your body hemorrhaging heat faster than your metabolism can replace it. You don't need freezing temperatures for this to kill you. You need wet clothes, a mild wind, and a temperature somewhere around 50 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a spring night in Central Europe. That's a perfectly ordinary autumn evening in dozens of environments where early humans built their lives. Hypothermia doesn't announce itself dramatically. It creeps. Your thinking slows. Your coordination fails. Your judgment dissolves. And by the time you realize something is seriously wrong, your body has already lost the ability to fix it. Ancient humans understood this, not from reading about thermodynamics, from watching it happen, from losing people to it, from developing an almost instinctive respect for what wet and cold together can do to a human body in a matter of hours. And that respect drove some of the most sophisticated survival thinking in human history. Now, before you picture ancient humans huddled helplessly in a cave waiting for the clouds to clear, stop. That image is almost completely wrong, and the actual truth of what they did is considerably more impressive. The first thing ancient humans understood about rain survival is something most modern people have never had to think about. Fire is not an event. Fire is infrastructure. Modern humans think about fire the way we think about starting a car. You need it. You turn the key, it starts. If it doesn't start, you call someone. Ancient humans thought about fire the way we think about electricity. It was not something you created when you needed it. It was something you maintained continuously, because the cost of losing it was not inconvenience, it was death. Starting a fire from scratch in wet conditions, with wet wood, wet tinder, wet hands, in the rain, is one of the hardest things a human being can do without modern tools. So ancient humans didn't let fires go out. Across virtually every ancient human culture that researchers have studied, carrying fire was a practiced, respected, deliberate skill. Embers wrapped in slow-burning organic material, specific fungi, damp moss, bark chosen for exactly this purpose, could be transported for hours while a group moved through wet terrain. Archaeological evidence from sites across Europe shows hearths that burned not for days, but for years. Continuously fed, continuously protected, treated not as a tool but as a living thing that required tending. And this created something remarkable, one of the earliest divisions of labor in human history. In bad weather, someone's entire job was the fire, not hunting, not foraging, not building. Sitting with the fire, shielding it from wind, feeding it, making sure the group didn't wake up in the middle of a rainstorm in the cold and the dark. Before anyone was a specialist in weapons or medicine or tools, someone was a specialist in fire. That job may be the oldest profession in human history. If this is already changing how you think about what ancient humans were actually capable of, stay with me. Because where this goes next is genuinely surprising. Here's the myth that needs to die permanently. Ancient humans did not primarily live in caves. The cave-dwelling image exists because of something researchers call preservation bias. Caves are where evidence survives, so caves are where archaeologists look. And because caves are where archaeologists look, we conclude that caves are where ancient humans lived. But caves are rare, often cold, frequently damp, regularly occupied by predators who had no interest in sharing. Most ancient humans lived in structures they built themselves, and those structures, even the earliest ones, show a level of environmental intelligence that should genuinely impress you. The oldest known constructed shelters date back approximately 400,000 years, long before anatomically modern humans. These structures weren't elaborate, but they were intentional. Branches angled deliberately to shed water, leaves layered in overlapping rows, each layer covering the one below, so rain runs off rather than through. The same fundamental principle as a modern roof, arrived at independently without engineering school, without blueprints, without anything except the observation that water moves downhill and materials can be arranged to use that fact. By the time modern humans were spreading across the globe, temporary shelters had become remarkably sophisticated for the materials available. Mammoth bone structures found in Eastern Europe, dating to roughly 15,000 years ago, showed deliberate architectural thinking. Heavy bones anchored into the ground to resist wind. Animal hides stretched across the frame. Probable insulation layers inside. These were not holes to hide in. These were engineered environments, built specifically to maintain heat and exclude moisture in conditions that would kill an unprepared modern human within days. But shelter and fire only solve part of the problem. The third layer of ancient rain survival is the one most people never think about: clothing. Specifically, what ancient clothing actually was. Most people, when they picture ancient clothing, picture something like a rough blanket. Animal skin draped over the shoulders. Crude, functional, barely engineered. That image is wrong. The oldest known sewing needles date back approximately 50,000 years. Needles, not just puncturing tools, needles with eyes, needles designed for threading, which means ancient humans were not draping skins. They were sewing. They were constructing fitted garments, designed to trap body heat while allowing movement, designed to shed water rather than absorb it. The Inuit and their understanding of layered clothing represents perhaps the most refined version of this thinking. But the underlying logic was developed far earlier, across dozens of cold climate cultures around the world. The logic is this: a single layer of wet fur against your skin is worse than no layer at all, because wet material conducts heat away from your body faster than the ambient air would. The solution ancient humans discovered was the same one modern outdoor equipment uses today: layering. Specifically, 3 layers serving 3 different functions. An inner layer closest to the skin, designed to wick moisture away from the body. A middle layer designed to trap air and hold heat. An outer layer designed to resist wind and water. This is exactly what modern Gore-Tex layering systems do. Same logic, different materials, arrived at through observation, trial, error, and an enormous amount of suffering. So here's what ancient rain survival actually looked like. Not the helpless version your instincts might assume. A group of people organized around a fire, inside a structure they built to shed water. One person designated to maintain the fire. Others wearing layered fitted clothing sewn from hides prepared specifically to resist moisture. Food being cooked, or if cooking wasn't possible, preserved food set aside specifically for bad weather. Movement kept minimal to reduce heat expenditure. This is not primitive. This is a sophisticated, multi-layered survival system.
And if you want to go deeper into the hidden intelligence of how humans actually survived the world before modern tools, the next video is already there. I'll see you in it.